Yo, what is up everyone? You're probably watching this video because you're thinking of becoming a flight attendant, or you're a future flight attendant probably going to be going into the process of having a face-to-face interview. Let me tell you about my experience of how I dealt with certain things and things I noticed when I interviewed for Frontier. It was actually a great experience. They flew me out to Denver, Colorado, where their headquarters was at, and it was a cool experience. So it started off with me submitting an application, and from the application they emailed me again, and they set up a phone interview, and they ask you a series of questions. Like, they put you in different scenarios. They also ask you questions like, what do you think makes a successful flight attendant? What are some strengths that you have that will help you become a successful flight attendant? How do you work as an individual in a group setting? Questions like, what was another one that they asked me? So they give you like they'll hit you with the question that like something that can happen at the airplane, like if a parent comes in and they have two children and they got different seating, how can you accommodate them? What would you do for the mom and the two kids? So my answer was, I would see if other passengers were okay to switch seats so that we can have the family all together on those three seats. I mean, depending on how you answer that, it's going to be based on you, how you solve problems and just your way of problem solving. So I did the phone interview, and then before the phone interview ended, the recruiter on the line, she said, well, are you willing to move anywhere? And as a flight attendant, the answer should be absolutely, right? So from the phone interview, she set up a date of when I would be available to interview face to face in person. Right there and then they asked me. So I picked a certain date, send me an email. After that email, they send me another email with my ticket, because they pay for your flight out there. So I flew out to Denver, Colorado. When I got there to the hotel, I was pretty excited. I couldn't sleep too well. So the next day, the interview day, I show up. There was already people there, future flight attendants. I like Frontier's staff. Like, I feel like their company was very energetic. I really liked the overall of how welcoming they were. They took us all into one huge room. It was about 50 of us, right? And people came from different areas, Texas, Denver, some from Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and so on and so forth, right? So we're in this big room, and what they ended up doing was they divided us into 3 different groups. The first group took off with one recruiter, second group took off with the second recruiter, and one group stayed behind in that big room. And I was part of the team that got left behind, not left behind, but was part of the third group that was there at the location where we all met. Now what happened from there was, the first part of the interview was they wanted us to make an impression, right? So what they had us do was they had us go up to the front of the room, introduce ourselves to everyone there, and then from there they wanted us to read 2 sentences or 3 sentences off of a script. The reason they did that was they want to make sure, first of all, that you can read, 2, that you can present yourself in front of a large group. And that was pretty much it. So it was like, hi, my name is blah blah blah, and I flew in from LAX to DEN, whatever the airport was, and it was that simple. And then boom, read 2 sentences. That was it. Second part of the interview was they put us in a room where there was what you call a jump seat, which is a narrow jump seat. It's like a seat much smaller than your regular seat in an airplane. And what they wanted us to do was they wanted us to go through the process of locking in the seatbelt and unlocking it. And they wanted to see that we were comfortable in that chair and that we fit correctly. So there wasn't anyone in my group that was way too big to a point where they couldn't safely strap in the seatbelt. So that was super easy. The next part of the interview is they're going to take you into another room where there's about 5 tables, and per table there's a recruiter. So there's 5 recruiters, and then you're going to be interviewing face to face with the recruiter with another candidate right next to you. So it was me and then another candidate and then the recruiter. And what the recruiter would do is they would ask you like a question, like, what would you do if you and your coworker didn't agree upon a certain matter, right? And then you will answer, and then from there they switch right next to the person that's right next to you, and then they ask them a different question. I think for this process, what really helped is try to be each other's cheerleader, like help the other person, like motivate them, like, oh, that's a great idea, blah blah. Just have that vibe going, that energy. So we did one round of that. They asked us like 3 questions each, and remember, these questions were always different. And then from there they took us out of the room, right? And when everyone finished interviewing, there was a second round. So then they called me again and a different individual back into the room with a different recruiter at a different table, and they asked us a series of questions that were different from the previous questions. And you know, I answered as best as I could. You're probably wondering, well, what are some of the questions? I'm gonna make another video just focusing on the type of questions they would ask us. Okay, so that video will be posted up probably just a few days later after this video. And so that was it for that part. And from there, that was that. They took us into the main room where we all met, and they were calling people by their names. They were pulling them out. And from there, people started getting nervous because they're thinking like, well, where are those people going? Are they gonna go do the drug test? Did they get the job? Did they get the conditional job offer? You know, everyone's there for that conditional job offer. CJO is what they call it. I am going at 6 minutes so far. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep it under 10 minutes. From there, they sat us in a room, so we're waiting as the recruiters are pulling people out of the room. We have no idea where those people are going, right? So we're just patiently waiting there. While we're waiting there, there's a recruiter there in the room. Say, you guys have any questions? Ask away. So a lot of people had some great questions about benefits, about situations, and all kinds of other things, which was pretty cool. And there was about 13 people left, you know? And keep in mind that room started with 50 people, but there's only 13 people left. And now I'm looking around like, wow, like what's going on, right? And then the main recruiter walked in and then said, guys, just so you know, to get into this industry, it's as difficult as getting into Stanford. And when she said that, I was thinking like, she's gonna let us down slowly. She's gonna just give it to us and tell us right now to reapply in again 6 months. I was wrong. She said, congratulations to all of you. You are all getting conditional job offers. I was like, yeah! Everyone got up. They were shaking hands, slapping hands. Some people were really emotional. They started crying. I didn't cry. Cause I'm tough, right? No, but that was my experience interviewing with Frontier, and I'm gonna keep you guys posted on my journey with them. All right, guys. If you have any particular questions, please hit me up in the comments below, and I'm gonna do my very best to answer all of your questions, guys. Peace out. Bye.